The movie Orphan completely flipped the evil child horror subgenre on its head when it came out, thanks to the original jaw-dropping plot twist. By employing the old formula and cliches to their own advantage, the writers tricked you into believing that as a viewer, you knew where the story was going. You'd seen this many times before. And then bam! Watch a 9-year-old kiss and flirt with her adoptive father, and you're like, what the actual f***? The little adopted girl named Esther turned out to be a 33-year-old female serial killer named Leena, who came from Estonia, who was born with a rare hormonal disorder that stunts her physical growth and makes her look like a child. Even before the movie was released, there was some controversy. Adoption groups were not pleased with the idea of a murderous adoptee. They were concerned that the movie might deter people from adoption, especially from adopting kids from overseas, so they tried to boycott the movie. What made people from this community upset was the trailer, in which Esther, the orphan, initially was saying this:
"It must be hard to love an adopted child as much as your own."
It wasn't hard to pick another line for the trailer, so it was changed to "I don't think mommy likes me very much." In the movie, everything stayed the same, obviously, so this whole situation was absurd. If a person's opinion on such a serious topic as adoption can be easily skewed by some fictional horror story, then they probably should not adopt anyone in the first place. Horror is supposed to push moral boundaries, confront taboos, and make us feel uncomfortable. When people watch horror, they expect to see something messed up. Despite mixed reviews and that weird controversy, Orphan has become a classic horror film. And now you can find it on almost any top movies with the most shocking twist list, alongside such titles as The Others or Sixth Sense. Moreover, Esther is considered to be one of the most twisted fictional female characters out there.
Don't let me die, Mommy.
There are several major plot differences between the early draft of the screenplay and the final version of the film. Originally, the story was way darker and more gruesome, and included Esther's horrific backstory that would have helped the audience to understand why she is the way she is, but also probably would have put more people off, maybe. There was a reason they decided not to include all the traumatizing details, so let's talk about them. One of the central themes of Orphan is motherhood. How far would the mother go to protect her child? In Orphan, Kate, the mother, is pitted against evil in the face of Esther, that came to basically completely destroy her family.
I will not let you hurt my children.
Me?
The movie starts with Kate and ends with Kate. It's in a way a story about her. The opening scene immediately throws you into Kate's psyche. You discover that she's in the process of recovering after stillbirth of her third child, Jessica.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
What?
Your baby's dead.
On top of that, she struggled with alcohol. Her daughter Max almost drowned in a pond nearby their house as a result of Kate getting too drunk and not keeping an eye on her. Her husband John cheated, and even though it happened a long time ago, it still lingers in the form of trust issues in their marriage.
You were hitting on her.
What?
Kate used to teach music at Yale but hasn't worked in about a year. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she's trying to work on her issues with a therapist. So already, as you can see, it's a lot. Bringing a killer woman who poses as a child into the equation is just icing on the cake. However, in the script, Kate goes through much more. John and Kate decide that they really want to adopt a little girl and give her all the love that they basically didn't manage to give to the daughter they lost. When they drive to the orphanage for girls, they already have the child they want to adopt in mind. 7-year-old Puerto Rican girl named Yolanda. There, John and Kate meet and talk to Esther.
My name is Esther. What's yours?
But despite being impressed by her, they are preparing to take Yolanda home the following day. But the next day, they get informed that Yolanda was found hanging in the closet. Very likely, the children were playing some choking game went wrong, and now the kid is dead. Of course, it was Esther who killed the girl because her eyes fell on John. She liked him and wanted the couple to adopt her. If this situation was kept in the movie, it would have been a perfect example to showcase to what extremes Esther can go to get what she wants. How observant and manipulative she is. How well she can read people, and that she's the one who chooses her victims. Nonetheless, if you think of Kate, this situation doesn't make any sense. Imagine losing your child in the most traumatic way, that you still have nightmares about it. Then, finding out the child you want to adopt is dead too. This is it. This is the end of Kate's story. She can't go and pick another child like she's in a supermarket. So it's clear why everybody behind the movie decided not to include Yolanda, period. After Yolanda's death, John persuades Kate to adopt Esther. They both liked her, she's cute, articulate, talented, good choice. In the movie, Sister Abigail acts a bit weird. When she sees Esther talking to Kate and John in one of the classrooms, she makes this horrified face for a second, and then she smiles and chuckles with everyone and tells the couple that it's basically a match made in heaven.
You seem to have made quite a connection.
When John and Kate come to finally take Esther home, Sister Abigail is seen with her fingers crossed behind her back as she waves goodbye. Creepy and clearly an indication that she suspected that there was something wrong with Esther, and later she does contact the family to talk to them about her suspicions.
I'm afraid I may have made a mistake.
In the script, Sister Abigail tells John and Kate more information about Esther even before they adopt her, and she doesn't sugarcoat it that much. She tells them that Esther is not interested in friends, she doesn't play with other kids, she barely speaks. She kicked another person's teeth out when they tried taking her ribbons off. Sister Abigail also lets Kate and John know that Esther's mother died of AIDS, and that she strongly believes Esther has been sexually abused. She says, quote, "There's just something missing with her, a spark you see in a child's eyes that isn't there," end quote. John and Kate feel sorry for the kids, so they still decide to proceed with the adoption. Esther takes her time to carefully assess the dynamics within the family, gain their trust, and then use it to her own advantage. She befriends Max and quickly learns sign language for her.
She wants you to pass the bread and butter.
Despite being an exceptional painter and pianist, Esther downplays her skills just so Kate can teach her how to play.
You told me you didn't know how to play.
John? Well, he's just John. It's a bit unclear why Esther liked John and why John blindly believes everything she says or does. There's not enough bonding between the two that would explain John's extreme ignorance towards his wife.
I'm so done. I'm done connecting these dots for you.
Daniel is the only one who immediately doesn't like Esther.
You're such a freak.
Despite the pretense, Esther's true colors soon start to come out, especially her maniacal and sadistic sides. In the original script, it's implied that Esther enjoys harming animals. The guinea pig featured in the film as Max's pet was supposed to be a hamster, and Esther was supposed to kill it. The movie does find a way to show how little empathy Esther has and how cruel she can be. While playing outside, Daniel intentionally shoots a pigeon with his paintball gun, out of curiosity really, without thinking much about the consequences. The bird gets wounded but is still alive, and while the reality of what he's done hits Daniel, Esther and Max walk by. They see the animal, Esther grabs a rock and suggests Daniel to put the pigeon out of its agony and pain. It's interesting to see how Daniel has a normal kid's reaction. He starts crying and says he can't do it, and then Esther doesn't even hesitate for a second and completely smashes the bird herself.
It's in heaven now.
Esther has no problem in disposing of anyone who might expose her secrets. She uses threats, for instance with Max and Daniel.
Do you want to play?
When that doesn't work, she resorts to physical violence and murder. She injures her classmate Brenda, who comes a little bit too close. She beats Sister Abigail to death with a hammer when the latter comes to warn Kate and John of the potential danger that could come from Esther. When Kate starts putting all the puzzle pieces together, Esther realizes that she has to get rid of her too. Not only because Kate can get to the truth, but also because Kate stands in Esther's way to being with John, which is her ultimate delusional goal. Esther is targeting Kate's main weak spots, which are her kids, dead or alive, and the fear of being a bad mother. Esther endangers Max's life first by taking the car she's in off the brakes. Luckily, Max gets out of it unharmed. Then Esther does the most messed up thing by ripping out the white roses from baby Jessica's memorial in the garden and giving them to Kate as quote-unquote a gift, but in reality a way to provoke a reaction and rub salt into Kate's wound. To take it even further and paint Kate as an unstable mother who can physically harm her children, Esther breaks her own arm to imply that Kate grabbed her too hard when she got upset about the flowers. After that, Esther shifts her attention to Daniel. She sets his tree house on fire while he is still inside. He ends up in a hospital where Esther tries to finish him off. In the script, Esther actually succeeds and Daniel dies. It's again fascinating that this was changed in the movie, I guess because it's too freaking much for poor Kate to lose 3 kids in such a short span of time. Kate does slap Esther in the face in the hospital, so that's a bit satisfying. You bitch! Even though Esther is extremely manipulative and calculating, she can't escape behaving like a child and having anger outbursts that look like tantrums due to her past traumas. The script reveals that Esther, whose real name is Leena, was molested by her father since she was an infant, and that made her sterile, on top of her rare disorder. Her father told her that she could never be a real woman, and eventually he got himself a new lover. Leena ended up murdering both of them. For years, she worked as a sex worker for wealthy perverts. She did get arrested at one point, but her looks and behavior saved her from going to jail, so she was put in an orphanage. It's not clear when and how Leena got into a mental institution because the timeline is messy even in the script. She had to be kept in a restraint jacket because she was hurting the staff. The collar and cuffs cut deep into her skin, which led to permanent scars. Leena ultimately escaped the facility, and they haven't seen her since. It's been 18 months. All of this information is told to Kate via phone by a doctor from an Estonian mental institution where Leena was kept. He says, quote, "She now sees herself as trapped in the body of a child, and it disgusts her. She wants to be what her father considered to be a real woman. She wants to be a wife, a mother, a lover. She wants to grow up." End quote. It's surprising that Leena wants to reject the child persona and be perceived as an adult, but at the same time, that's the only way she knows how to attract men. So she continues to wear cute dresses and hide her bad teeth and skin blemishes and behave like a little girl. And then she confuses normal loving father-daughter relationship for something more perverse. Or most likely she expects this sort of relationship to go to that sexual place because of her piece of shit real dad. That's basically the only love she's ever known.
You said you loved me.
Leena expresses her sexual fantasies through art. John discovers that Leena's room is full of secret paintings that depict Leena as a fully grown woman engaging in sexual acts with John. It also seems like through drawing, Leena relieves all her violent experiences. She's been adopted before, she's killed before. Kate finds Leena's Bible stuffed with pictures of middle-aged men who were her previous victims. Leena can't take no for an answer. As soon as a man rejects her, she kills him. She repeats what she did to her real father. So when John pushes Leena away and even threatens to send her back to the orphanage, she murders him. Kate comes full circle with the final battle against Leena. They end up fighting on a frozen lake, which Kate has been avoiding like a plague because of that one incident with Max. But this time, she rewrites the history for herself. She makes the right decision, she tells Max to stay away and not come close, and it's a very sweet and significant moment. It's like Kate wins over her demons by defeating Leena. There is an alternative ending where the fight doesn't go beyond the walls of the house. It ends way sooner and it's less epic. Kate just disarms Leena, she takes Max, and they escape the house. Leena goes into her room, fixes herself up, and then greets the police.
Hello. My name is Esther.
I said at the very beginning that for me, Orphan is a very atmospheric drama about grief and motherhood first and foremost. However, Esther can represent different human fears. David Johnson, the screenwriter of Orphan, said in one of the interviews, quote, "There's obviously been a lot of discussion about the implied message about adoption in this movie, but that was never the intention. Thematically, I was more interested in the way our society seems to be pushing our children to grow up too fast. Walk through your local Walmart or Target and take a look at the provocative clothing that's been sold to young girls. Or turn on your television and watch Toddlers and Tiaras for 5 minutes if you can stomach it. I feel like our kids are given less and less time to be kids. It's something that I find disturbing, and Esther was the result of that concern, rather than anything to do with adoption." End quote. In the screenplay, this message is very apparent. There are a lot of instances of kids doing grown-up stuff. Daniel has a whole story surrounding pot, even though he's like 11, 12. There's a lot of commentary both in the movie and in the script about kids' early exposure to sex. Before you know that Esther is not Esther, it's pretty jarring to see a little girl say the F word or wear heavy makeup and behave in a sexual way. There's one scene that didn't make it into the movie where Kate, Esther, and Max go to the supermarket, and Esther starts reading female magazine covers aloud. Esther: "What kind of sex do men crave most?" Kate looks back, shocked. Esther has picked up a Cosmopolitan from the newsstand and is reading the cover aloud to Max. Kate: "Put it away, don't look at those." Kate puts the magazine back. There are several others just like it at kids' eye level. Kate signs and starts putting groceries on the conveyor. The prequel Orphan First Kill was marketed as the origin story of Leena, but in reality it tells you pretty much nothing you wouldn't have already known about her background. And the title is a bit misleading. It kinda makes sense if you think of it not as Leena's first kill, but Esther's first kill, since the movie presents a theory about how Leena acquired her new identity as Esther, a little American girl who went missing. So technically yes, it's her first kill as Esther, and we'll learn about Esther's origins. It's a stretch though, and I don't like this theory because they knew what people were waiting for when they were making the movie. They knew. It all starts with Leena escaping from a psychiatric hospital in Estonia. And let me tell you, it looks ridiculous. First of all, everyone in the hospital hypes Leena up so much by saying that she's the most dangerous patient, and then you see that nobody is appointed to her. Nobody's looking after her except the pervy guard. And to escape this facility means to just walk out. That's what Leena does. She just walks out through the hallway. It's funny to see how she attempts to hide because you can clearly see her. I don't know if that is some kind of commentary on what kind of people work in such institutions and that patients are not being taken care of there. No idea. Second of all, Leena seems to have some supernatural strength or powers because I still can't comprehend how after the escape, Leena gets into her new therapist's car, then gets out of it, then gets into the therapist's apartment and attacks her on the staircase. It's just all magic and lazy writing. The original Leena was scary and creepy because she was an extremely cunning person who seemed to always be one step ahead. And that brings me to another point or observation. Leena in Orphan First Kill is awkward and clumsy as fuck. After Leena kills the therapist, she starts researching missing kids on the computer to find the one she bears a resemblance to. That's how she finds Esther. She pretends to be her and gets reunited with Esther's family in America. The way Leena behaves is a bit out of character compared to the original Leena. She's more vulnerable and inattentive. She's not careful about what she says.
Do you think Father will recognize me?
Maybe not if you keep calling him father.
She's not even trying to hide her drawing skills, for example.
Do you like it?
I can argue that the movie is Leena/Esther in the making. She's developing all of her future tactics, but you can't help but feel that she's supposed to be cold and ruthless. It doesn't make sense for her to develop all those feelings for a random rat in her room. It's cute, and yes, she relates to this rat. They're both kind of trapped, but not really because both of them can physically leave at any time. The movie foreshadows Leena's future predicaments when, at the very beginning, she watches The Little Princess with Shirley Temple, in which Temple plays a little wealthy girl whose circumstances change after her father is presumed dead, and she is forced to become a servant. In the script for Orphan, Leena is compared to Shirley Temple too. She has the same curls as her. At first, Leena is treated like a princess. Esther's family is very wealthy, so she gets her own room. There is even the art studio where she can paint because Alan, the father and the husband of the family, is an artist. Leena, of course, starts to develop feelings for Alan, and despite at first wanting to just rob the family and leave, she decides to stay, and this becomes her biggest mistake. The big plot twist of Orphan First Kill is that Trisha, Esther's real mother, was from the very beginning aware that Leena was an imposter.
Mommy.
Because her son Gunnar had accidentally, but that's debatable, killed his sister, the real Esther, and in order not to lose her son too, Trisha decided to cover everything up and lied to her husband and the police.
A mother protects her family no matter what.
Now Trisha wants Leena to continue playing along and being Esther because this makes Alan happy and she feels like she has finally got her family back. It would have been such a brilliant, morally challenging concept if they stopped right there with Trisha and gave her remorse. Imagine making such a decision in order to protect what's left of your family. But they took it way, way further and turned Trisha and her son Gunnar into the most over-the-top cartoonish villains. Especially Gunnar, who is such a trite example of an entitled rich kid who calls his parents every time there is an inconvenience.
Mom! Mom!
It becomes clear that Trisha played favorites and didn't really care about her daughter, and Gunnar very likely hurt his sister intentionally. Seeing Leena in a different power dynamic is amusing, but I couldn't help but think that it's more suitable for a sequel and not a prequel. You expect her to adapt to the new situation quicker and come up with her own plan, but she just follows what Trisha says, like a scaredy cat. Leena starts acting only after her life is threatened, when Trisha tries to poison her. And that's another thing. Trisha and Leena make a pact that they're gonna keep pretending that Leena is the real Esther. They kill the private detective together, kinda, when he starts to suspect that something is not right. However, this pact lasts for 5 minutes, because all of a sudden, Trisha decides to get rid of Leena altogether. There's not enough time to develop all of these new relationships and dynamics. The original Orphan movie is 2 hours. Orphan First Kill is an hour and a half. The plot twist happens pretty late in the movie after an hour, and then all the juicy things get packed in 30 minutes. Even though the twist is cool and unexpected, you can tell that it wasn't thought through properly. It's a plot twist for the sake of a plot twist. There was pressure to create something as original as the first movie. The only character that has been well thought out is Alan. He's so much better than John. There's bonding and connection between him and Leena, they have a common interest, and it's okay for him to be a bit blind to what's happening. He truly cared about his daughter and was grieving, and was happy for her to finally be back. Clearly, the movie tries to play with your emotions and make you sympathize with Leena and root for her in a way. But it's very easy to do that when you put a complete psychopath without any depth next to her. Even though Leena is supposed to be a psychopath too, they just gave her the emotions she lacked previously. In Orphan, it was said many times that Leena's last family died in a fire, and that it was arson. In Orphan First Kill, many things happen just by accident. The house gets set on fire by accident during the final battle between Leena, Trisha, and Gunnar. The way Alan dies is very awkward too. At first, I thought that after rejecting Leena, he slipped on the roof and fell to his death. But for a second there, you can see Leena push him. However, based on her expression, she immediately regrets it. Did we forget what happened to John? All in all, I had a lot of fun watching Orphan First Kill. It was very cool to see one of your favorite characters be back.
I thought I would never see you again.
And I view it more as another perspective on Leena/Esther, just a different version of her. But I hope there won't be any more prequels or sequels.